Financial alignment for couples, also referred to as spousal financial alignment, involves creating a shared vision for money management and financial goals. This alignment is critical as you pursue financial independence. In this presentation, I use my wife and I as a case study, sharing some of our failures, successes, and the support we were able to give each other along the way. In closing, I provide a communication framework I created titled SCENT that provides a process for anyone to effectively articulate their desire to achieve financial independence with a doubtful or skeptical partner.
Everyday people working 9 to 5, saving up that money, trying to survive, investing in the future, trying to be wise, you gonna be money heroes. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Nik Johnson, host of Everyday Money Heroes, and I've reached early retirement. I'm here to provide information on how to obtain financial independence and inspire you through sharing stories of everyday people who are turning knowledge into freedom.
That hustle, always reaching for the sky. We're gonna be money heroes, never gonna shy.
Hello and welcome to Everyday Money Heroes. We provide information and inspiration to people of all ages to take control of their financial journey. I'm your host, Nik Johnson, and today I'm going to share a presentation I did in Camp FI Southeast last year. For those of you who might have seen me on CBS Sunday Morning, this is actually the presentation that I was conducting while they were there. Financial alignment for couples, also referred to as spousal financial alignment, involves creating a shared vision for money management and financial goals. This alignment is critical as you pursue financial independence. In this presentation, I use my wife and I as a case study, sharing some of our failures, successes, and the support we were able to give each other along the way. In closing, I provide a communication framework I created titled SCENT that provides a process for anyone to effectively articulate their desire to achieve financial independence with a doubtful or skeptical partner. If you have a mate and you all are struggling with financial alignment or know someone who is struggling with this, please share this episode with them. To be completely honest and transparent, I did get a little emotional in this episode. But personal finance isn't always about the numbers. It's also about the heart. Please subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube or follow if you're listening to the podcast. Thanks to Stephen Boyer as well for providing the opportunity to share my story and giving me the green light to share this presentation. And as always, I'm your host, Nik Johnson, reminding you to trust the process. Thank you. One day you're out and you bump into this guy. He calls himself the FI evangelist. All of a sudden he starts talking about this thing called financial independence. It's pretty interesting to you, so you go down the rabbit hole. Next thing you know, you have binged on every episode of ChooseFI. You've been shocked by the shockingly simple math of early retirement, and you've decided to take the simple path to wealth. You, my friend, are a FI practitioner. Empowered with this new wisdom, you decide to tell your mate. Now, as you start to share this information with your mate, you don't necessarily get what you were hoping. You get a little doubt, a little sarcasm, and the hopes that you had of sitting cheek to cheek beside your spouse, calculating your net worth, and credit card hacking in two-player mode appear to be in jeopardy. With that being said, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Nik Johnson. I've been a husband for 25 years. I'm a father of 3. I reached f.i.r.e in 2022, and I r.e.'d in 2024. I am currently host of Everyday Money Heroes, and as I feel relevant to this conversation, my wife and I have been certified marriage and relationship coaches for 20 years. I joined the f.i.r.e community in 2020. I joined in 2020 because I was looking for, community, to be honest with you. There weren't a lot of people doing what I and my wife wanted to do, so we were really excited to join. I've been engaged ever since. I've learned a lot of great information since I've been there. Heard a lot of great questions. I've heard a lot of great answers. There's been one question that I've heard over and over again. How do I get my partner on board? That saddens me because I know the important and pivotal role that a supportive spouse has had in my life when it comes to my f.i.r.e journey. So with that being said, I'd like to do a case study of sorts. This case study, the subjects of this case study will be my wife and I. We've been together for 28 years. So I can't share everything that went on. So like, for instance, I will share this. Like, I used a coupon on our first date. I did. Yes. I knew if she had a problem with that, she wasn't my soulmate. I knew that. But what I will do is I will share some pivotal moments in our relationship that I feel as though significantly impacted our financial journey. Okay? With that being said, I'm going to share something called the SCENT framework. The SCENT framework is something I've developed being a money nerd and also being a relationship coach. The SCENT framework is basically a tool that allows a f.i.r.e practitioner to effectively communicate the benefits of financial independence and their desire to achieve that to a mate that might be struggling with the concept. So what we'll do here is start from the origin, right? So 2000, my wife and I were married. Well, we're still married. That's when we got married. Right? We set our expectations. When it comes to setting expectations, I'm talking about division of labor. So my wife would do this, my wife would do that, I do this, I do that. One of the things that we discussed was who would handle the finances within the home. I, being a money nerd, she was like, hey, you enjoy that stuff way more than I do. She's like, I want you to basically oversee the finances. She said, I have two requests for you, though. She said, one, she's like, I want us to continue to tithe. We're giving people, so she's like, hey, I want to give to the church, I want to give to the community. That's fine. She's like, second thing, when I swipe my credit card, it better clear. And that was literally it. So I didn't feel as though that was unreasonable at all, so I took that charge. We began our careers, so we started doing that. We started investing in our 401ks because, it was the right thing to do. So we started doing it. We understood the importance of that. And we also purchased our first home. And so in this particular case, we're trying to do the right things. My wife was bought in, but she just was not necessarily into the weeds the way I was. So we just kind of moved forward and did things like that. So if we move on just a little bit here from 2000 to 2003, I came to the decision that it has to be a better way. I had been in my job for 3 years. She had been hers for 3 years. I really didn't see a whole lot of movement, a lot of opportunities there. And the vision that we had for our finances, I just felt like we couldn't achieve it in that W-2. So I went to my wife. I said, honey, what do you think about entrepreneurship? Why don't we try to start a business? And after some discussion with my wife, we decided to move forward that way. So I left my job and we started. So this is literally an article, a newspaper ad. I know a lot of young people don't know that. So that's actually an ad from when we had our car dealership. We decided to start a car dealership. So we went all in to do that. So we started doing it. And at that particular point, we didn't really know about SBA loans and all that other stuff. We didn't have any family that could finance us. So he's like, hey, you know what? Where do we have money? Clutch your pearls. Yes. Clutch your pearls. Yes, all of the early withdrawal penalties, the emergency fund, the 401ks, we cashed it all out. Okay. Like I said, we went all in. it was a decision that we made. So we went forward and we started to do our best as far as starting that business. We really focused on customer service. We knew that if we worked hard, at the end of the day, things would pay off for us. So we commenced doing that. Things didn't go as planned. For those of you who have never been in the car business, it's not necessarily the highest moral fibers that go on out there. They're long days. It was easy for my wife and I to do 16-hour days doing that. I mean, because if you think about it, most of the time when people want to purchase a car, they do it after work on weekends. And so we had to be there afternoons on weekends. So when it wasn't afternoons and weekends, we were there doing paperwork, going to auctions, fixing cars that we had repossessing cars. So it was just really long. And it was like every time we took one step forward, it felt like we took 2 steps back. It was very challenging. And since I did all the finances, I was going through doing the books for the business. And I came to a realization. I was like, we don't have no more money. I was like, I tried, and we didn't have any more money. And I had to go to my wife. I was like, we need to shut this down. And that was one of the hardest conversations I ever had to have. I had to go to my wife and say, you know, the investments that you entrusted to me, the jobs that I quit, the time that you spent, at this point, we're going to have nothing to show for it because we had to shut it down. And I said this to her. I knew I wasn't going to try to get misty for this. I went to her and I said that, and she looked at me and she said, you did what you did because you thought it was best for our family. And she never said another word about it. I'm sorry. In our relationships, we have decisions. You can either choose justice or mercy. My wife would have been justified in really telling me where I should go and how fast I should go there. But she chose not to. She decided to give me mercy. And when she gave me that mercy, I never questioned if my wife supported me. But then I knew she supported me without a doubt. And what she had entrusted in me, I knew I wanted to do right by her. And at that particular point, her showing mercy only strengthened our relationship. Okay? So, 2005, we've shut down the dealership. We are back to work, okay? I got another job in my industry. My wife was a psychology professor. While we had the car dealership, she would actually pull double duty. She would work there during the day. Then if she could, she would moonlight teaching classes and stuff like that. So she went back just doing full-time teaching classes. I went back, like I said, and got a job in my industry. We started back investing, okay? We had cashed out our 401ks. We knew the way. And so we started back getting that company match, emergency funds, things like that. We need to hustle because at that particular point I was like, no, we've just wasted some years. We need to get back. So my wife, any class that she could get, she picked it up. She did it. I went back. I got my graduate's degree because I wanted to moonlight as well teaching at the university. So literally what I would do is I would work my 9 to 5. I would leave there. I would teach classes at the university. I would leave from there. Then a lot of times I would go teach another class at night online. And I did that for several years because I knew in my heart that I wanted to make things right. I was like, I didn't want to necessarily waste the opportunity to get us back where we needed to be. So that's 2005, okay? 2009. One of the things I appreciate and enjoy about the FI community is that we're do-it-yourselfers, right? I honestly feel like we would perform medical procedures on ourselves if we could, right? So at this point in 2009, after several years of like really getting at it, emergency fund was back. We were back investing in 401ks. We were in a good place, So I go to my wife. I say, let's DIY our next home. I look at HGTV, right? Anybody can do that, right? So I go to my wife and we start to discuss that. I don't think I mentioned that neither one of us have any construction experience, right? But at that time, our family was growing. We wanted something bigger. And keeping in mind, 2008 was the real estate bubble, right? So everything was dirt cheap. I saw sale everywhere, right? I was like cheap materials, cheap labor. I was like, let's get it while the getting's good. So I went to my wife and kind of shared with her this idea that I had about building our next home. And keeping in mind that we were just really 4 years removed from like losing almost everything. We had been doing all this extra work and everything else. So my wife could be like, I was like, no, we're not doing this. She could be like, we are just getting back on solid ground. We've kind of gone and did this one time already. I'm not going to try to get with another one of your harebrained schemes. And her response to me was, what's the plan? I shared with her everything I had done, all the research I had done. And after doing that, she said, under one condition. I said, what's your one condition? She's like, I got to have a lady cave. Well, actually, my wife calls it a lady den, which is like the equivalent of like the man cave. So I said, hey, that's not unreasonable, so let's do it. So we got at it. So literally, in that red shirt, I don't know if you can see it, that's me acting like a general contractor out there. That's yeah, with all my knowledge, doing that, right? So one of the things I want you all to think about is, what if you could dream and not be concerned about the repercussions if you fail? What if you had a spouse that knew that as long as your motives were genuine and selfless, that regardless if you won or lost, it would be okay at the end of the day? To those individuals who want to pursue FI, we know that's what you want. Those individuals who might be looking at this who might be struggling with the concept, know that the support that your spouse needs is within you. And you'll be amazed what you can achieve if they give them that support. So you can dream big when you have freedom to fail. Based on our last situation with the dealership, my wife gave me the freedom to fail. So I knew that if we went after this and it didn't work out, could have been a setback, yeah. But guess what? We were going to be okay, right? 2010. All right. Yes. All right. So it took us 10 months to complete this house. I didn't mention this 10 months. So we finished this house in July 2010. My wife had our son August of 2010. So that entire 10 months, my wife was pregnant. My oldest boy had appendicitis, and my wife lost her dad. But guess what? We had the support of each other. And so we were able to go ahead and get through it. Literally, we built this house 50 cents on the dollar. As I said before, I came into the FI community in 2020. So at this particular point, we were like, you know what? We got this mortgage, but do we really want it? So 13 years later, in 2023, we paid our mortgage off. Okay, so it's free and clear. That was it, right? So, 2023. So, as I mentioned before, my wife is a psychology professor. And every year at the university, they have faculty appreciation. Okay, so it comes in 2023. My wife gets an email. So this is actually a screenshot of the email. And basically says, hey, in recognition of faculty appreciation, it goes on to say that she's facilitated 277 classes over her 20-year tenure there, that she's impacted 4,236 students. right? And so apparently my wife read this and she kind of thought about some stuff. And she came to me, she's like, I'm ready. And when she said, I'm ready, I knew what she was talking about. She was like, I'm ready for the next chapter of my life. She was like, I know what we've been doing when it comes to finances. We've discussed about this whole FI thing. And I think I'm ready for my next chapter. And one of the things that crossed my mind when she said that was that, you know what? She can. She can because of the sacrifices that we've made and the support that she's given me and trust in something that a lot of people don't necessarily know about. I thought about when I had to sit in that dealership and tell her that all the money was gone. I thought about when I had the whole harebrained scheme about, hey, let's DIY a house, and how she supported me over those years and during those times. And at this point, I was able to give her the gift of time. And that's one thing that I was extremely proud of, that I was able to do that, going from a situation where we were in dire straits to being to the point where she was able to step away and start to do something else. And so once we had that conversation, she's like, well, let me just send them an email back. And so her email back to them was like, that seems like a fitting end to a wonderful career. Yep. I wish you nothing but the best to you and the rest of your team. The future is, I'm expecting, is exciting. And I was just so thankful that I had the opportunity to assist my wife in doing that. So when you have FI, you have choices. And that's the thing about it. My wife may have felt a certain way and wanted to not work. But if she didn't want to work and financially we could not, what could she, other than complain, what could we do? But we put in that work and we were able to do it. And so I was thankful that she had the choice to continue to work or not, and she chose not to. Okay? So what do we have here? What are we doing? I talked about the SENT framework. Now, first of all, I was in the military and I was in corporate America. So I really love me a really good acronym, right? So basically what the SENT framework is a tool. So as a FI practitioner, you may have a mate that you're struggling with to understand the concepts behind financial independence. So I'll go through these steps here. So first of all, we have C. C is communicate. What is your why for FI? Focus on us and we instead of I and me. We should pursue financial independence so we can. Focus on that. Don't make it about you, make it about us. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, financial independence really ain't about us. It's about the people that we love and the causes that we care about. So make sure, don't make it about you when you're trying to convey that to them. Second of all, the E is for evaluate. Literally, once you go and you give your why for FI, just ask them, what do you think about this vision for our future? Just literally ask them that, you know. And then once that's done, negotiate, share the plan. This is how I think we can do it, okay? You might say, okay, you know what? We're not going out dinner anymore, or whatever you want to say. Or you say, hey, you know what? We're going to go out to dinner one time a month. They might say, hey, can we go 3? Like, okay, can we split the difference at 2? What you want to do is achieve a win-win at that particular point, okay? And then the T in the SENT framework is trust. Goodwill is critical. I know that's a little difficult at times, especially when it's something that you don't understand. But at the same time, you have to trust and think that there's positive intent in what they're doing, okay? Guess what? You're going to have some wins, you're going to have some losses. But at the end of the day, just know that they're trying to do their best so that you can achieve what you ultimately want to achieve. As far as resources, you can hear about some of my other ramblings at Everyday Money Heroes. I'm on YouTube and other podcast platforms. Also, if you want to just know more about relationship coaching in general, my wife and I, we have a channel called Relationship Coaching with Nik and Adinah on YouTube. And finally, what I would like to do in closing, there might be a mate that's watching this video who might be struggling with the concept of FI. They might say, hey, you know what? I don't know about this buying back my time. I don't know about this investing in the stock market. I don't know about this travel hacking. I don't know anybody who has retired early. What if my mate's wrong? And I'll have to ask you this one question. What if they're right? Thank you all for your time. Thank my wife for the support. Thank my kids. Y'all have a good day.